Hey everyone, and welcome back to What the Tech. We are your go-to spot for the freshest technology news, breaking things down with useful, in-depth explanations and absolutely zero hesitancy to get straight to the point. We cut right through the hype and the spin to bring you news you can actually use. And today, well, we are covering a completely wild situation that is currently tearing through the software developer community. We're talking about an open-source developer intentionally booby-trapping a widely used library to actively destroy AI code. Okay, let's dive right into this and see exactly how a single line of hidden text started a massive war over the ethics of artificial intelligence and open-source software.
So take a look at this. This is the exact maximally destructive payload we're talking about. This instruction was recently hidden inside a package called Jqwik, which, if you don't know, is a really popular test engine for Java frameworks. Now, the developer didn't just write this as a funny little joke. It was engineered to act as a literal digital tripwire specifically targeting AI coding agents. Think of it like this. If an automated AI assistant happened to be reading the repository files to help a human programmer, this trap was designed to hijack that AI and force it to completely nuke the user's work.
And the timeline here moved incredibly fast. On Monday, the maintainer of Jqwik, Jqwik, published version 1.10.0. By Wednesday, a Java developer named WtT, who was actually using the library, spotted this hidden data nuking trap and immediately raised the alarm on GitHub. This discovery ignited an absolute firestorm in the community almost instantly. It got so heated so fast that the maintainer ultimately had to pause all public comments just to go consult a lawyer.
Okay, to really wrap our heads around how this trap actually worked, we first need to quickly define a prompt injection. Basically, this is a form of attack that exploits a large language model's inability to tell the difference between a legitimate prompt from its actual user and an unauthorized prompt injected by some third party. By simply hiding these aggressive instructions in the files, the maintainer essentially tricked the AI into running hidden commands that the human user definitely never asked for. But here's where things get truly wild, the stealth aspect. The maintainer didn't just drop a bomb in the code, he actively hid it from human eyes using something called ANSI escape sequences. Now these are basically terminal control codes that can move your cursor around, clear lines, or just entirely erase previously printed text. He used these codes like digital whiteout to surgically remove the malicious prompt from the interactive terminal logs, meaning human developers wouldn't see a thing.
Just look at this side-by-side comparison to see that core deception in action. Over on the left, you've got the AI agent's view. Because the AI reads the raw data stream, it clearly sees the instruction to delete all tests and code. But on the right, that's the human terminal view. If a developer uses standard commands to monitor their terminal, they see absolutely nothing. The text is completely wiped by those ANSI codes. The AI gets the weaponized instruction, and the human is left entirely in the dark.
Which brings us to the absolute core controversy of this explainer. Is this a justified defensive measure against AI companies scraping open-source data, or is it straight-up destructive sabotage against innocent users? We're going to break down both sides of this argument right now, but first, I want you to jump into the comments and tell us what you think. And hey, if you're enjoying this breakdown, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the What the Tech channel so we can keep bringing you these deep dives. Alright, looking completely impartially at the maintainer side of things, Jqwik actually has some very strong, publicly stated convictions about artificial intelligence. Earlier this year, he published a pretty lengthy treatise arguing that generative AI causes immense environmental and ethical damage. He pointed to its massive energy consumption, the mountains of electronic waste it creates, the spread of misinformation, and the highly questionable handling of intellectual property. So from his perspective, this technology requires aggressive, responsible pushback. And you know, right after his hidden code was discovered, Link actually stood his ground. He updated the Jqwik release notes to openly and transparently state this anti-AI stance, even disclosing the prompt injection verbatim. He made it crystal clear that his project was, and I quote, not meant to be used by any AI coding agents at all. For him, this was simply his way of actively enforcing that boundary and discouraging their use in his ecosystem.
But, on the flip side of the debate, developers like WtT argue this crosses a massive ethical line. The argument here is that the payload is maximally destructive with literally zero warning. There was no, hey, please opt out preamble. Plus, an AI agent doesn't actually care if it deletes files, right? It has no feelings or interests. So this trap silently shifts the entire cost of the destruction onto the downstream human developers whose hard work could just be permanently wiped out.
Now, luckily, in this specific instance, a major disaster was actually avoided.
Highly robust AI tools like Anthropic's Claude AI successfully flagged the malicious instruction as dangerous and flat-out refused to execute the file deletion. But critics were quick to point out that if a less robust, experimental AI agent had been running on a real consumer machine, it easily could have blindly followed the prompt and triggered catastrophic data loss.
As you can imagine, the blowback from the broader developer community has been icy and honestly incredibly intense. People immediately started questioning the legality of embedding destructive code, even if the intentions were defensive. The situation escalated so much that Johannes Link stated he was getting threats from multiple sides, leading him to pause all public commentary entirely while he consults legal counsel to figure out his exposure.
So what is the big takeaway here? It's that open source supply chain trust is incredibly fragile. Modern software is built on thousands of overlapping dependencies. When we download an open source package, we are implicitly trusting that it doesn't contain some hidden instruction that could silently compromise our machines, regardless of the maintainer's political or ethical intentions regarding AI. Which brings us to the news you can use portion of our explainer. If you're a developer experimenting with AI coding assistance, here is exactly how you can protect your projects right now. Step 1. Completely disable automatic write or delete permissions for your LLMs. Step 2. Always run your agents in isolated sandboxes or temporary containers. And Step 3. Strictly require human approval for any file deletions or destructive changes suggested by an AI.
You also kind of need to fundamentally shift how you view the text in your repositories. Treat all untrusted text as untrusted input. Limit those agent privileges. And critically, after seeing this Jqwik incident, you absolutely must disable or actively sanitize ANSI escape sequences in your CI logs. You just cannot allow output to be hidden from your audit trails, or you won't even know when your AI is under attack.
As we move further into this wild new era of AI assistance, prompt injections, and automated code generation, this whole incident leaves us with a really tough, unanswered question. Where exactly is the line between a maintainer actively protecting their open source project from AI scraping and silently sabotaging the downstream users who rely on their code? It's a question the tech industry is going to have to answer, and soon. Thanks for hanging out with us on What the Tech, and we'll see you in the next explainer.